Evening, guys. Okay, far be it from me to make a video at almost 11:30 on a Saturday night, but I told you stuff was going to go down over the weekend when the news wasn't going to report on anything. All right. So, as screwed up as this is, and I mean, I was in the middle of watching North Shore Preparedness live stream after mine, and we have information coming out of the Ukraine-Russia situation. Apparently, there is a bombing going on in Donetsk, which is Russian-held territory in Ukraine. Okay, as a fire is broken out in a factory and food warehouses. Now, y'all know that Ukraine supplies water to Crimea, and they shut off the water, and so the Russians have bombed the dam, if you will, to get water down to Crimea. So you've got that going on. Now you have some sort of bombing or somehow. So firsthand information from the Russians is saying that there were a series of explosions heard before the fire. The war alarms have sounded in Donetsk. Russian media is talking about military mobilization. Now, the Russians are trying to blame Ukrainian saboteurs, as it's a factory that supplied meat to the city where they had large food warehouses. But others are saying that there were drones that dropped bombs on this place. Okay. So the timing, and I mentioned this in the live stream tonight, about you got to watch Turkey. This is what I'm telling you guys. Okay. This all happened shortly after the Zelensky, president of Ukraine, and Erdogan, president of Turkey, they had a meeting. And shortly after that meeting ended, that's when all this happened, okay? Now, like I said, you combine this with the incident that's going on with the dam and water and everything like that, you know exactly, you can assume, I guess is a better way to put it, what's going on, okay? But, witnesses have said that there were bomb blasts heard clearly before the fire. This is not just oh my God, somebody left a cigarette near something or whatever it is, okay? They don't know if there's any casualties or anything like that. So I asked Mrs. P what was going on, what her thoughts were on this. And again, Mrs. P being Russian, okay? And just want to get on camera, so I had her recite it to me, what she wanted to say. And I wanted to kind of read it to you, okay? Because obviously she's going to know a lot more about the mindset than you, me, or anybody else can of how a Russian thinks, okay? So I'm just going to read this to you, so bear with me because I wrote it all down, all right? So she says, what Putin wants and what would be best for him is a fast, almost hybrid war with an outcome where Europe is extremely scared and calls him to negotiate a process that stops the war, like several years ago when they did this in Minsk, that had, how'd she put it? She put it as super comfortable conditions, I'd say as, beneficial conditions for Russia, but not for Ukraine, okay? As she put it, there are risks for more sanctions from the U.S. and Europe, but in the current economic situation in Russia, and I think you all have seen that from what I've talked about, what Konstantin has put out on his channel. But, current economic situation in Russia is so bad that it would be beneficial for Putin because in this case, he can blame the U.S. and Europe for sanctions as they're the ones that are making the U.S. economy weak. So he's kind of taking the responsibility away from himself and he can blame it on somebody else, okay? This way he can shift the blame from him to the U.S. and Europe as to why the economy for the Russian people is getting worse and worse. Again, this is Mrs. Pinball's theory. If it turns out that the war is becoming long and that the US and Europe help Ukraine with missiles and arms and troops, this would be the worst case scenario for Putin because patriotism will die off, all right, as she put it. But as a matter of honor for him to not give Crimea back to Ukraine, it's very important to keep Donetsk, where all this bombing's going on, as a super explosive region because it weakens Ukraine, okay? That's why he won't back up in a second case scenario. He'd become a very unpopular president, okay? Now, mind you, again, like I said at the top of this is all happening on a Saturday, or now Sunday morning, in Russia, when people aren't paying attention to the news. They're all going through their normal, it's the weekend time, clean house, do laundry, go grocery shopping, whatever it is. Just like anybody else here, we're all paying attention to, I'm not at work this week. I've got, in my case, my gardening, my grocery shopping, whatever the hell's do. So this is all going down. This is what I've kept saying to you guys over and over and over again. Stuff happens on the weekend. Now, if you want to check out the story for yourself, I will give you this again. This is one of the sources I get. This came out earlier, maybe about an hour or so ago. The website is warnews247.gr. Okay, it is a Greek website. You can translate this from Greek to English. So go read it. The story, if I can click back over to it here real quick, is entitled in English, Donetsk in flames from a barrage of explosions. The Russians talk about a Ukrainian military operation. Provocations, ? There's video that will show you the fire, if you will, the burning. I mean, it's not small, okay? But I wanted to, this is what I keep telling you guys about things heating up. And I know it's 11:30 at night, and by the time you guys see this, by the time I get it uploaded and everything like that, it's going to be 11:45, going to be damn near midnight. Hopefully you guys will see it, I know there's plenty of you that watch this stuff overnight, but this is the stuff that we need to pay attention to, because if this does get big, okay, and the U.S. gets involved, and NATO gets involved, and Europe gets involved, this is where you get shortages that wind up coming into the United States. This is where China, Taiwan takes off. This is when the entire supply chain around the world shuts down. This is why you need to prepare. And I will say this for the millionth time. Look at what happened during World War II when you had, resources from the U.S. being shipped to Europe, okay? Back then you couldn't get tires for your car. You couldn't get a typewriter ribbon, okay? Because those resources, granted, we're not using typewriter ribbons now, but to make my point, the food was sent over there. People in the United States grew victory gardens. We all know that term. This is what I keep saying. So pay attention to this. This is what is going on now. I know it sucks. It's Saturday night. It's damn near midnight going into Sunday morning, and this is what you're going to either read overnight or you're going to see first thing in the morning. But I needed to put this out to you because this just came out. This is getting hot. All right, guys, I'm out of here. It's got to be bedtime. Pinball out.